Hi everyone, welcome back to Dog Q&A. This is number 55 and it's my first video with my decor in my new office. Yay! So I just need a couple more things on the shelves back there and something on this wall and then I'll be set. Oh, and probably some more lighting, and if I'm in the back of the room, there is a sound issue, so we'll be dealing with that later. So, but for today, we get to use my new office. Yay. All right, so this is Dog Q&A 55, and today I'm going to talk to you about questions to ask a dog breeder. So this is for people who are looking for a puppy from a breeder. I want to help you find a good breeder, an ethical, responsible breeder. And this video has been inspired by two things. The first was working on a commercial with a breeder who spent the entire day telling me about what an ethical breeder looks like. And the second thing that inspired this video is your stories of puppies you got from unethical breeders. And there is a huge difference. And if you want to set yourself up for the best chance of having a really good pet dog that fits with you and your lifestyle and your personality, and that is easy to house train and doesn't have a lot of behavioral issues, this video can help you. So let's get started. Okay, let me share my screen. And here we are, Dog Q&A 55 questions to ask a dog breeder. So like I said, I worked on a commercial with a woman named Dana, who has a dog, who brought her dog Gibbs, who is has all kinds of AKC titles, which I learned are very hard to get. And I wanted to share her insights with you. And because she's a golden retriever breeder, that's the breed I'm going to focus on. But you can apply these things to any breed. So moving right along here. First things first, before you even look at a puppy, you've got to do some research ahead of time. Because when you walk in and see that puppy, you're just going to take it. But you want to set yourself up to succeed in getting a dog. So the first thing to think about is that large commercial kennels do not inspire great breeding practices. So looking at this picture, this is obviously a puppy mill, and you can see that that's literally what it is. It's a factory for puppies. And when you get a dog from a pet store, guess where it's coming from? And so what you're seeing here is that the puppies are learning to potty where they live. So your puppy's going to come home. It's not going to be house trained, and it's going to be very, very, very difficult to house train that dog, especially if it's a tiny dog or a very small breed. They also are not being socialized in any way, shape, or form. And they're also probably with a sibling, which means they're developing a sibling puppy syndrome. So I'll get into that more later. But all that to say, puppies from a commercial kennel are not going to be, they're going to be very difficult to have as a pet. Another thing too to keep in mind is that commercial kennels don't always look like this. They can be more disguised and fluffed up and look prettier. And you may not be able to tell right away that it is a commercial kennel, but I'm going to give you some tips that will help you figure that out. Okay, so all breeds have a breed standard. And because I'm focusing on golden retrievers for this video, the official description of what a golden should be and what breeders should breed toward are held by a standard created by the Golden Retriever Club of America. So this is the entity responsible for maintaining and preserving the golden retriever breed itself. It also has a breeder code of ethics. This mandates what is required for a puppy to be ethically bred. And I'm going to talk more about this when we go into health. This is an AKC Golden Retriever here, one in a show. And keep in mind, not all titles that people receive from these shows are created equal. For example, an international champion title. This means nothing. It means the dog showed up for a weekend of shows, but it's a vanity title and doesn't mean he actually won anything or was a breed standard in any way, shape, or form. An actual champion title from the AKC is extremely difficult to get. And if you go to the AKC website, they have a list of their titles on their website and what each one means. So you can look those up. So if someone has titles on their website for their puppies, you can go see what that actually means. Here is a dog I just found online. Mini Acres King is his name. You'll see that an ethical breeder will list their dog's registered names on their website. That is so you can research the dog by their registered name and determine their pedigree. Not all breeders do this, and some make it very difficult to research their dogs. And if the dogs aren't listed on their site, that's a huge red flag. If you think a breeder is hiding something, they probably are doing it for a reason. So keep that in mind. So this is the canine database. It is where, or the canine data website. This is where the Golden Retriever information is kept on their pedigree and breed. So if a breeder does not list their dog's registered name or maintain their dog's pedigree information on the breed database like this, you might question that. Why are they not making it easy to research their dogs? Something could be wrong there. And some people have their dogs on there and they're not keeping up with it, not maintaining it. That's also a red flag that something might be wrong there. This is the website where you're going to find lots of information about every dog, including their name, their picture, their health clearances, their pedigree, their genetic information, their date and cause of death. And you should be able to click, well, on these sites, you can click on every dog in the pedigree and see the same information. So you can trace a dog's lineage all the way back to the beginning through a website like this. A responsible breeder is going to list all of their dogs with their photos, titles, all their dogs' ancestors' titles, all the required health clearances, many, many generations back. And you should be able to keep clicking through and see every dog in the line. So if you have a breeder that you find that doesn't do any of that, red flag. You have to excuse me. I have a lot of notes for this one because Dana gave me so much information. Okay, so an ethical breeder has a reason that a particular breeding was done. An ethical breeder is trying to create the best dog they can or are breeding for some specific trait or purpose. So maybe they're breeding hunting dogs or retrievers to retrieve and go out and actually do a job. That's a purpose. Unethical breeders will keep breeding dogs to each other for the sake of breeding. So they just happen to have two dogs, they put them together to breed, and they keep doing it over and over for no reason. That's not guaranteeing much of anything. Pretty much anyone in the world can do that, and you see it on Craigslist all the time. Okay, so ethical breeders also spend many years researching the dog that they're going to breed to their own dog. And most will do a sort of digital test breeding before actually breeding the dogs or putting them together so they can see what the puppies are going to be like in terms of genetic information, health clearances, and things like that. They want to know what the litter is going to be like genetically and health wise before they actually create the litter. So something to keep in mind. Make sure ask your breeder or potential breeder why they're breeding those two dogs together. So here are some white Goldens. Now, one thing that unethical breeders might do is use terms that have no actual meaning. So white Goldens, English cream Goldens, that's nothing. That doesn't mean anything special. It might be a beautiful dog, but if the breeder is putting a label on a dog like that to charge more for the dog, that is completely unethical. These are marketing terms that are used to jack up prices, create fads, and make false claims about the dogs. There's no ethics in that. So questions you need to ask your potential breeder. Why are you breeding these two dogs together? What's the purpose of breeding these two dogs together? What do you hope to get from this breeding? And what are you trying to improve upon? That should always be the goal. And responsible breeders will pull dogs from breeding for the slightest flaws, no matter where they are in the process. So Dana gave me an example that of a time that she pulled a dog from breeding because there was no eye clearance on the dog. The dog had a juvenile cataract that would never affect his vision and was likely not genetic, but was enough of a flaw that she said he shouldn't be bred, so she didn't breed the dog, even though he had the potential to be the #1 show dog in the country and had already become a champion with multiple titles at a very young age. So that right there is an ethical breeder. Now we move on to a little bit of health. So the health of the parent dogs will be reflected in the puppies. So if the parents have any issues, the puppies will likely get those issues. Earlier, I mentioned the code of ethics for golden retrievers, and these require at a minimum that certain health clearances be obtained before the animal can even be bred. So at the bare minimum, they include certification by a board of veterinary orthopedists and that hips and elbows are free of dysplasia. The eyes have to be certified by a veterinary ophthalmologist, and the heart has to be certified as free of defect by a board certified cardiologist after performing an echocardiogram. These minimum tests have been required for many, many years, and if a dog doesn't pass one of them, they cannot be bred. I did have a client who brought a puppy home from a really, really unethical breeder, and the dog died of a heart attack at 9 days after they got this 9-week-old puppy. And this is kind of where this whole thing began, is I sent the info to Dana. She researched the kennel, quote unquote, and determined that it was a really, really irresponsible, unethical breeder. And sadly, the people ended up getting a replacement dog from the same breeder. So who knows? But those are the kind of things I don't want to see people have to go through. Their child losing their new puppy and having to grieve that new dog and seeing a puppy die in front of them of a heart attack. That is horrific to me. That's what fuels my drive to make these videos right there. Okay, moving on. So the breeder code of ethics requires health clearances be obtained before an animal can be bred. And then this is the, excuse me, the OFA, which is the Orthopedic Foundation for Animals. They will have minimum ages for obtaining health clearances for puppies and dogs. So, sorry, not for puppies, for dogs. You cannot clear the hips of a dog that's under 2 years old because you won't see the issues yet. The x-rays and tests have to be examined and cleared by a board of experts at the OFA, And the results of the test have to be publicly posted on their database. So another thing you can do is go to the OFA website and check out the dogs that your potential breeder is trying to sell you, or the ones that they're breeding and trying to sell the puppies of. So additionally, new requirements include genetic testing for a number of genetic conditions and diseases. The Code of Ethics also has practical requirements, like proving a dog worthy of breeding through competition titles, conformation, hunting, etc., and various other things. So there are some things you can find out ahead of time before you even determine that that's the breeder you want to go to for a puppy. That's going to set you up to succeed with your new dog and hopefully get a dog with the best amount of the healthiest dog that you can get, and one that's not inbred and or unethically bred and or from a puppy mill. And then with a temperament that suits you and your lifestyle. Okay, so now you've done all this research, you find a breeder that meets all these requirements, they're all on the up and up. Now what do? So now you go, it's time to pick your puppy, and now you want to meet the parents of the dog. And a lot of times these videos are like this with super cute bundle of dogs. So I know you're not going to hear half of what I'm saying now. So I'm going to let this play a little bit. But all I want you to see here is that you want to meet the dog. So if the breeder won't let you meet the parents, why? I want to know why. What's the problem? Why are you hiding this? You want to be able to see everyone together and have the dogs come up and approach you. Those parents should be very friendly, no fear barking, no alarm barking, no aggression. They shouldn't be hidden in a back room. They should approach you readily. That means, guess what those puppies are going to be like? They're going to be just like that, typically. So yes, I know this is super cute, but I'm going to stop it here. Okay, and then go to the next slide. So now we can get into socialization. A puppy's critical socialization window is from 3 to 16 weeks of age. So how much of that is at the breeder? Most of it, or a lot of it, at least half. You want to look at where the puppies are being raised. Are they in a house or are they in a kennel? If they're in a kennel, guess what they're learning? Concrete is your friend. They don't know what grass is. They don't know what carpet is. They don't know what tile is. You're going to have to try to undo all that missed socialization and get them used to the flooring, even in your own house, if they will at all. They're also learning to potty where they sleep. So now when they get into your house, guess what? They're going to not be house trained. So these are like critical things to think about. So puppies also that aren't raised in a house aren't being socialized to people and things and noises and activities that are in a house. And so they are going to be more fearful in general. So you want to have a responsible breeder will be exposing puppies to different surfaces, loud noises, different types of toys. They're going to be meeting lots of new people in a positive way. They're going to be handled all the time, so they're used to that. The breeder is going to start working on the house training already. You can get an 8-week-old puppy who's house trained. That is not out of the question at all. The breeder should be also giving you access to their previous litters so you can contact the owners of those dogs to see what they're like. So for the sake of cute, let's play this. So this is a litter that's being exposed to new things. So they're made to come out, they're released from their pen, they go down the slide. Now they're jumping over this obstacle. So look at all the things they're learning just by doing that. They're walking on a tile floor. this is what they have to do to get to their food. So they're motivated. They want the food, they're doing it. Look at these fat little hungry puppies. They're so cute. Oh my gosh. But look at all the things they're being exposed to every time they eat. And then the food is a reward for doing these things. How cool is this? This is what you want to see at a breeder. Oh my gosh, I wish more were like this. Okay. I know we could watch these forever. All right, moving on to our next video. I want you guys to expect more from your puppies because I expect a lot from an 8-week-old puppy and you should too. So this is, I'm just going to show you this video of what this trainer is doing, or this breeder is doing with her puppies. Here is a recall. Here's a recall whistle. So she's trained them to come to a whistle sound. I don't even think these puppies are 8 weeks old yet. This is feeding time. They are all sitting calmly, waiting to be fed. How many of you thought this was even possible? Everybody's sitting. That was breakfast. This is dinner. Sitting for dinner. Now you have a new standard for your puppy, by the way. Call me. I can help you. Here's everybody waiting to be let out in the morning. How many of you thought that was possible? Here's everybody learning not to jump. I mean, this is an amazing breeder. I would pay more for a puppy from this person than, and you can see they're a little older now. Yeah, I would pay more for one of these puppies. Imagine getting your puppy home and all you have to do is reinforce all this training. I mean, that is fantastic. Okay, so now moving on to weaning. You want to, all right, you want to ask the age the breeder is releasing their puppies to go home. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, if they say 6 weeks old, you're going to have some fear and insecurity in that dog. And that's just what I've seen across the board. I don't have your scientific evidence in front of me to give you, but I can tell you from years of experience that is a consistent thing. So make sure that puppy is at least 8 weeks old. And then some breeders will keep them until they're 10 weeks old, or 10 weeks old, so they can complete the socialization process. And that's great, but you want to make sure they're also being separated from their parents and sibling as well. So I'll play this for you. So these are puppies being weaned onto solid food now, or starting to move towards solid food. And she clears her little faces off. She kind of puts them on there. This video has no purpose other than to talk about weaning, and plus they're super cute. I think some take to it more naturally than others. I guess babies are the same, but so cute. Okay. So those are puppies moving on to their more solid food. Okay, I have to mention this when I talk about puppies. Please, 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 please never, ever take 2 puppies home from the same litter or that are the same age from different litters. Doesn't matter, you get the same effect, and it's called sibling puppy syndrome. There are other names for it as well, but what that typically, what's going to happen is that, and I've seen this, I don't know, 50 plus times, you will get 2 codependent dogs that never learn to develop into individuals. One becomes a sort of dominant insecure, and one becomes a more submissive insecure. So what that looks like is one puppy always runs away and hides when something happens, and the other one moves towards it and can be aggressive, can be, any sort of insecure, fearful, but on the more dominant side, which means it's moving toward the thing. So And then you can never separate them. So think about, what if you need to take one somewhere, the other one will be screaming his head off because here's this dog that he's codependent with who is now leaving him for the first time at 6 months old, a year old, 5 years old. It's awful. And they just never truly develop into individuals. I will put this caveat out there. You can take two puppies home at the same time if you raise them separately. Separate crates, separate walks, separate meals, separate training time, separate attention time, separate playtime, separate everything. Then you're going to get two individual dogs. But I'm going to tell you right now, most people who think they're going to do that are not going to do that because it's a lot of work. You're doing everything twice, and puppies are already a lot of work. So that's my 2 cents on that. Please don't take two puppies home unless you're going to raise them completely separately. So now, what if you get the puppy home and something goes wrong, God forbid? Can the puppy be returned? You want to know these things ahead of time from your breeder. Is there a full refund, a partial refund? Are they going to just give you another puppy with the same issues? I would be cautious if something went wrong with my first puppy to get another puppy from the same breeder, but you want to know ahead of time if you're going to get your money back or if they're just going to give you another puppy. So in the next video, we're going to talk about choosing a puppy from a litter. Okay, so we're almost finished here. This is the Esquire Golden Retrievers website, just a screenshot of that. And this is Gibbs. That's the dog I worked with on the commercial. This is an amazing breeder. I just want to give them kudos to everything they are doing, working so hard. And I love this quote on there from Dean Koontz. I used to read his books all the time. I'm going to put a link to their website in the description. So if you are looking for a responsible golden retriever breeder, that might be a good one to choose from. And as always, if you need help choosing a breeder or a puppy, or you need help with your new puppy or your dog, you can contact me through my website, triciacasper.com. And if you want to be a guest on Dog Q&A and talk about your dog behavior issue, I'm happy to do that with you as well. And hopefully this helps you guys in getting, finding a responsible breeder and getting a really good, sound, temperament and health-wise puppy. Okay, guys, hope you enjoyed it. I will see you next week. Bye-bye.